feel like artists don't really get as much credit as they should, as they play a major role in history from any era that they're in. And I believe American singer and songwriter Marvin Gaye was one of those people. From being born April 2nd, 1939, to being murdered by his father April 1st, 1984, Marvin took the nation by storm with his uplifting music in one of America's darkest times. With the messages in some of his music and the reputation he had, if people listen to more than just his sex music, they know topics covered from his other songs have much more meaning than that. I don't think a lot of people try to understand the mindset of this man and how much of an inspiration he was, and still is. So I'm gonna go ahead and let him speak for a minute. Feel free to skip if you want, but I feel you should capture the essence of a character before you start painting pretty pictures of him.
I can see many changes being made, many attitudes changing, and I'm sure we'll get there in time, just like we are enjoying a measure of freedom in America as black people that we've never enjoyed before. It takes time, but eventually we'll get there. I don't want to feel human and normal. I just want to be an artist. I hate those human normal feelings. I like the feelings I have as an artist when I'm out in the woods in the rain or sitting by myself in the sun and having God shine on me. I like that calling much better. I don't like the idea of those other little nasty nagging things that I like to get back at people because of my Aries blood and my tenacity or whatever I got. But yes, there's a certain satisfaction. I chuckle a lot. One could never be a fine artist if one hasn't lived and experienced most of life's negatives, I guess it's enough to say, and one would have to experience most of life positives also. You see, I guess I have gone from the depths of somewhat degradation to I've probably risen to the heights of spirituality in some cases also. I guard my heart pretty well these days because I'm afraid if I ever fell in love again and I met the wrong woman, I don't imagine I'll live. I have a very fragile heart. And I put on a pretty rough exterior and it's pretty thick. But I imagine some lady will penetrate it again one day. I hope she's the right one.
So before I went ahead and started this project, I did something I normally don't do, and I researched my subject. Turns out he's still a human with emotions just like you and me. You know, when we talk about the Mona Lisa, I don't think we discuss how much of a human she still is because of how serious she looks. But anyways, I've never been to art school, so I've been going through this journey with the power of self-education and friendships made along the way. So for this session, I not only worked on one, but two Marvin-related pieces commissioned by my grandmother and her friend for the holidays. I've never done something like this before, and I normally say no to painting the same subject twice. But given this was for someone that always supported my art growing up and the subject that was chosen, I felt I could learn a lot from this experience. So I started with mock-up sketches, which helped me learn the value, shapes, and dimensions to familiarize myself with my subject. The paint I used was acrylic, not heavy body, so it did require a few coats over some parts of the painting. Note to you as an artist, if you want to save yourself from frustration, go ahead and buy that expensive paint, that heavy body paint. If you're on a budget, I give you all my patience in the world. So the challenges that I faced along the way was that I had a 2-month time frame to paint these portraits before the deadline. I would just time my sessions in increments, be aware of how much time I put into each piece. It was my first time creating and painting a full-on collage themed piece, which I thought was very exciting. When it came to understanding the different lightings of my subject, pretty much try to organize a composition that wasn't too much on the eyes, but also not too minimal, but enough for you to understand the spiritual impact this man has through his smiles, the way he sings on that mic, his fashion sense, to just him being him. So when the time finally came to deliver these pieces to their new owners, I took the Greyhound to LA. I figured it'd be a lot cheaper and better than going through LAX and facing all that traffic and chaos. 6 hours was enough for me to at least catch up on rest and on work before I spent time with my family. And every time I visit home is different. Not a bad different, but a good different. In this sense of different, I felt like I had to catch up on a lot with my family, and I didn't mind that at all. It just reminded me that I need to call more, because art can really get in the way of your personal life if you let it consume all of your life. But overall, they really enjoyed their pieces, and it meant the world to me that I was able to bring those kinds of smiles to people's faces. But in conclusion, I think it's wise to talk good things about a man after he leaves this world. I think one of the most important things we could leave behind are our creations and our legacy and our impact on the world. That's why I decided to make this video. I feel I have all this art in the world, but never properly packaged it in a video like this. If I left Earth tomorrow, I'd feel devastated from how many stories were never told about my art. And watching documentaries on artists spoken by other people instead of the artists themselves has proven to me that no one can speak on your art better than you can. And I've been learning to get into different creative mediums lately, and I have to admit it's a bit overwhelming when it comes to journaling your creative experience, but it's also fun at the same time picking up a new skill needed for the actual career. I actually felt confident talking about my story, knowing I don't really do this. All the schools I went to didn't really teach me how show and tell works, so please forgive me. But I hope that you enjoyed this video on one of my ventures, and if there's any topics that needs to be addressed or tips on how to improve when making these videos or your art, please feel free to leave a comment below if you want to hear more stories like this.